Right. Just to remind everybody too, that if you want to talk at times, you can feel free to put stuff in the chat if you want to, or raise your hand and I'll see it under participants. Katrina and I will have to check that pretty well. And I think we can go to the next slide. Okay, I think we covered a lot of this. And one thing I'd ask everybody is to make sure you're all on mute. And I already talked about using the chat. If you want to go into the chat, and if you want to just say, hey, give your name and what type of EV you have, or if you don't have an EV, put that down too and say if you're interested or not. And we'll be more than willing, if you got questions about EVs, either during this meeting or afterwards, we'd be glad to contact you and answer some of your questions. So, because that's what we're here for. Okay. Next. Okay, I can go to the next one. So Katrina and I will be emceeing this and moving along. As I said, we have a pretty good agenda that we have today. So we're going to start it off with hot topics with some of the news that's going on in EVs. There's quite a bit. There's been a lot of interesting things going on right now. And then we have, following that, we're going to have a tour of Chevy's new 2022 Bolt EUV. So Chevrolet has got a virtual tour system online. And when we get to there, I'll send you the link to it. And I've done it where I've actually gotten a tour and I set up one for tonight. So this will be the interesting little handoff we have here because they would not connect to us, but they will send me a link. I connect to it and then I'll share my screen with the Zoom meeting. So keep our fingers crossed that this ends up working. Then after that, we'll have Chris White from Frontier Energy talking about some charging infrastructure and her experience with fuel cells. And on top of that, we have Ed Pike, who will talk to us about how to meet this 2035 ZEV mandate and changes we need in charging infrastructure. And finally, Lloyd Levine is going to join us and talk about some of the negative advertising we see on EV mandates. And when we get into that, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Okay. With that, why don't we go to the next? I'm about ready to put my news in there. So first, first thing I'd like to do too, under hot topics, is let Maricel, who's our CBRP contact, and give us a little update on what's going on with those.
Thank you so much, Richard. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Marisol, and I work with Center for Sustainable Energy, and I'm here just to give a quick update. First and foremost, I just want to thank everyone here. You've all been amazing. The work that you do is pivotal in moving the needle forward with electrification throughout the United States. So the work is much needed. And I just want to share with you that Friday is my last day with Center for Sustainable Energy. I will be leaving, and my replacement is here. His name is Jin Zhu, and he will be your contact. I'll drop his info, and then I'll also drop my LinkedIn if you want to stay connected. I will be working as a community engagement manager for Unitas here locally, so which is human and health services throughout, the United States. But just real quick on I'm happy to answer any questions regarding CVRP and updates. The good news is that we have funding allocated in the governor's budget. There's going to be some voting that happens either late June or early July that will appropriate those funds. And once that's funded, then we'll be able to fund some of the wait list and move the program forward, which is great. It looks like it's going to be 3 years, 400 million, and 134 million has been allocated for this upcoming year, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm happy to answer any questions, Richard, if we have time. If not, I will drop the link to Jin's email address so he can assist with any questions that you may have.
Okay. That's why we put you first, just to let everybody know, give you some of the background. Does anybody have questions they'd like to ask? Okay. Marisol, we're sad to see you go. And actually, when we actually had our SAC auto shows and EV folks were out there, we always had the CVRP people with us. And so we really depended on their input. It really helped sell EVs. Sorry we didn't see one in 2020, but hopefully maybe in 2021 we'll have another SAC auto show and an EV section there. So thanks for all your help.
Thank you.
Okay. And Jim had sent me a note. He wanted to make a brief comment. And I'm going to change headsets here because I heard someone say my audio didn't seem to be coming in very well. So let me give that a try.
Yeah, for me, your voice is coming through a little soft, Richard. But so am I on?
You're on.
Is my audio coming through?
Yep, you're good, Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I had a hot topic. It'd just be about probably 4 minutes, but I had something to do with the city of Davis that I wanted to present to people really quick. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Somebody else is sharing, so if I could get somebody else to pull theirs down. Thank you. Okay. And so here's what I want to talk about. And I just recently found out how the city is organized. And this is news to me and very interesting, but the context here is energy and what the city is doing with energy, because I know that in the city of Davis that people have a very high level of consciousness and they're concerned about climate and they're concerned about energy. And the thing that I wanted to point out, you can see they wisely put the citizens of Davis on top, and then it comes down to the city council and it comes down to the various departments like engineering and transportation and sustainability and utilities. And the thing that I wanted to present is that, I don't know if everybody can see this, but there are many departments and commissions and things like that that are related to energy in the city. And so I had an idea that I actually have submitted to the city council on how we might be able to learn more about, what's going on broadly with the city. And I wanted to just show that, in the past, many of you know that we've had some sort of disconnects. We've had a lack of information flow, I guess you'd say, upward to the citizens of Davis. The B of A chargers happened and we didn't even know about it. And we have this $2 million grant from SACOG, and personally, I have not heard anything about it. And I understand there's also a project that involves fleet conversion. I know there are microgrids planned for the city, but I don't know if it's public or not. So the point I'm trying to make, this is not criticism, this is all great, but I don't know where you can go to get a clear picture for everything that's going on. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that for the citizens of Davis, you need to know what's going on before you can ask about what's going on. So here's the suggestion that I had for the city, and I'd love to get your feedback. Does this seem like a useful solution? But I suggested creating an energy reporter position. And this person would contact all of the related departments, planning, sustainability, everybody across the board once a month. And then they would just give a brief overview of everything that's going on so people can have a high level view of what the city's doing. And of course, this would include anything related to EVs and charging. And I was going to suggest that maybe, it says internet is unstable. I hope you can hear me, but maybe putting it on a web page once a month. And this would be a reporting position. It would not be a policy making decision. So this was my suggestion that shouldn't take too much bandwidth for somebody in the city to do this. So, yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me, Richard?
Yeah, I can. Go ahead. I just changed headsets. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. Okay. And so anyway, as I said, I wrote an email to the city council and I haven't heard back on this, but I wanted to know if, in general, if people thought this would be good. And you can type your comments in the chat or just whatever you think. So that's my hot topic, and I hope you find it useful. That's it. I'll stop sharing.
Okay, thanks. Anybody have any questions, comments on that? So if somebody wants to speak up or raise their hand, if you see the slide, actually, if you want to go back to Katrina, back to our hot topic slide.
That's a good comment, liaison position. That would be a really good title for the job.
So for hot topics.
So, okay, I'll go mute now. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.
Jim, just one thought, especially when the term liaison was applied. You might offer, there would be value to that person, not just in a one-way communication, but if any of those departments had questions or wanted to get some input from EV owners or some of the EV community, that liaison quote can help connect them and get the information back to them. It could be a two-way communication channel.
Great. Anybody else?
You're kind of breaking up for me, but yeah, I don't know how this would work as a two-way communication. I'm not sure about that. Possible.
I was going to say, if anyone else has comments they wanted to give to Jim, go ahead and throw them in the chat too, and look at those at the end. I haven't seen anything pop up. Okay. If you look at the slide there, there's a couple of things I polled a couple of people about of what new news they'd heard about EVs recently and things to look at. In fact, when we're done here, we get a little chance, I'll throw some of the links to this, but in case you missed it last month, the Ford came out with the F-150 Lightning, which is their new EV truck. It's going to come out in spring of 2022. I saw the kickoff for it, which the thing that grabbed me the best or the most was the starting price, about $39,900. Now that actually is like a 230 mile range. You can go up to 300 miles or over 300 with the larger battery they have, and that's got towing capabilities. The good thing about it is it's supposed to have a 0 to 60 in some of the mid 4 seconds. I don't think I know if I want a truck going that fast, but so that's pretty amazing. So guys, can you hear me okay? It sounds like my mic's still a little low here. I'll have to find out if I can pull it up a little louder.
Yeah, it helps if you put it closer to your mouth. I have problems with that too, honestly. So it's like kind of a bad habit that I just constantly put it here. So we'll see. Nobody's critiqued me for it yet personally, but
Okay. Well, I tried this out with my headset on before, but on my desktop, and then evidently my headset on my laptop doesn't like it. Anyway, so anybody interested in the new trucks that are coming out, and there are a number of new trucks, the Ford 150, the Lordstown. In fact, we did a little presentation. When was that, Katrina? Was that was it in February? I think
yeah, it was in February. I was in Tahoe, so it was in February.
Yeah. So, and all these trucks, if they're light duty, they have to meet that 2035 mandate as well. The other one is Hyundai has announced their new 2022 Ioniq 5 EV. It's going to have over 300 miles range as well, which is a tremendous 77 kilowatt battery on the thing. I think the big thing is it goes from 10% to 80% in like 18 minutes. So, that's just about the time. I used to always tell my family, we'd go on these summer vacations. Okay, we're going to stop for gas, grab a couple of burgers. I want everybody done in 10 minutes. And if we got out under 30, it was impossible. It was hard to do. So 18 minutes is an amazing way to recharge that car and get on the road again. I also heard it's going to have some type of a vehicle to load. I guess it's the same as a vehicle to grid system. It's probably an extra, so you could actually keep your household going in case of a power outage. So more new cars that are, amazing number of new EVs that are now hitting. In fact, I almost stopped looking online when I put this list together, just because there was so much that was, starting to come out in new features. And the technology seems to be great in each of these.
Joseph has his hand up if you want to say something.
Who's that?
We got somebody with their hand up. You want to unmute yourself and say hey?
Oh, I put it in the, I didn't know how to take this off. I put it in the chat. There was a 10Q filing by Lordstown that they are in really bad straits right now financially, and that they might not be able to succeed going forward. I just thought that might be prevalent for people to know. It was just announced probably like 48 hours ago.
Yeah, I saw that. My Google feed kicked it for me. It was like, hey, here's like 3 articles telling me the same thing about Lordstown. Yeah. What do you think about kind of the truck market as a whole now that Rivian is, on its way versus the Cybertruck and now with the Lightning too? Do you guys have any thoughts about it?
Oh, I think they're all great trucks. I think they all fit their niches perfectly, I think.
Nice. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to kind of see. And I think, Larry, do you have your hand up too? Do you want to join the conversation?
Well, yeah, it's not about the trucks. I think that's pretty cool. But I was wondering if anybody knows what the Hyundai, the Ioniq 5 EV is going to cost, what the price range on that is starting at.
I don't.
Just curious. Okay, thanks. I mean, I've got a EV with a battery that's that I would really either like to get replaced quickly, or I'd like a trade-in, a buyout. But
it looks like the 40s, low 40s.
Pardon?
It looks like low 40s though.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
Wow.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's an amazing car. Just on that point too, Larry, I have to tell you, last week I actually took my 2017 Bolt in, and they gave me the software update that's supposed to fix the battery overheating fire problem.
Right.
Does anyone else out there have a Bolt? Have they gotten notice of being able to take their Bolt in? Emilio? Have you gotten it fixed yet, Emilio?
Yeah, we took ours in and got it updated, and they told us that our batteries appear to be fine, that they don't need to be replaced. So we did charge it up to full power. We've been charging it. We didn't do the original, we just put it on hillside. Hillside mode, I think as they call it. So it just charges it to 90%. I wanted to mention that the proposed Ford F-150 Lightning has this ability to act as a vehicle to homes, and they have a EVC charger that it's automatic, as they describe it. If you have your truck connected to it and you're charging it from the grid, and the grid loses, you lose the grid, it automatically starts running your house from it, which is, I think it's a pretty amazing capability. I'm a Chevy guy, and it's the first time that Ford even interested me. So yeah, that's good. Pretty amazing.
Hey guys, just piggying back on that comment. I also have a Bolt, and I had it serviced, and it seems to be doing fine. But on that comment about the Ford to home or truck to home, there is this article from a guy that lives in Brazil that works, I believe, for Amazon or, you know, one of the big guys up here. But during the pandemic, he kind of went into the jungle and, you know, stayed away from the heavily populated areas. And he actually converted and added a inverter to his Bolt so that he could power his home, because the grid where he was at was very unstable. And he posted kind of basically like a step-by-step on a blog. And so it doesn't void the warranty because he 3D printed all these brackets so that it could just kind of be like a kind of bolt-on type thing on your Bolt. And so anyway, I just thought I'd comment on that and let you know that that's out there on the web if you want to take a look. I can find the link and post it in the chat if you guys are interested, but I thought that was really interested. And so anyway, just a little tidbit on that.
Gabriel, I would be very much interested in seeing that. And I wanted to mention Nikki Gordon Bloomfield and Transport Evolved use a off-the-shelf inverter, not even a pure sine inverter, and plugged it to the battery in the Bolt and was able to run it. And she did that several years back when she had an outage in Oregon. So I got an inexpensive inverter that if we lose power here, I can at least get 1,500 watts, enough to keep the refrigerator going. And I simply plug it to the battery terminals and run a long extension.
Yeah, that's
that's
exactly how this guy did it. I'm sorry, I saw in the chat it's a Bolt, with B as in boy. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Those two are tough. I can't believe they did that. But yeah, I'm actually interested in researching and looking a little bit more and to see if it would be possible to tap the battery directly on the high voltage side instead of the 12-volt side, and access that with a little bit larger inverter. And so I'm kind of putting that as my little project to see if that would be available, since, you know, you could probably have like maybe like a 15 kilowatt, you know, sort of, what would that be, like a 15 kilowatt 4-hour, you know, to power a little bit more things, or, you know, higher power. But anyway, little tidbit, don't want to take too much time. Thanks guys for doing this.
Does anybody know what exactly Chevrolet did to was it a purely software update that they did? I would have asked the Chevy guys, but they had all left the dealership by the time we came to pick up the car. So
I can comment slightly on it, just really briefly. I believe the software basically adds some checks to the temperature of the battery. I've read a few articles that, you know, kind of hint at people not really being super satisfied with what they did. But so yeah, I think it just does a few checks, sort of like status of the battery, like, oh yeah, the battery's good, so keep charging, sort of thing. And so again, people still feel that it's not very sufficient fix. But anyway, those are my 2 cents.
Okay. So is there anyone out there that is like interested, they're EV curious and have any questions? We could either do it now or we could do it towards the end.
Yeah. Hey, Richard, I've had my hand up for a while. This is Peter.
Sorry, Peter. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, you know, this vehicle to home stuff is actually mislabeled, because it's not vehicle to home. It's vehicle to a couple of appliances. So you just have to keep that in mind, that, you know, you're not going to be able to run your full home AC and your induction range and your oven and all that stuff at the same time. It's not going to happen. So you just have to be aware. You could run, you know, as others have stated, you could, you know, power your refrigerator and your freezer, which is probably the most critical, because you want to make sure your food doesn't spoil. But, you know, you're not gonna be living large.
Okay.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, that's the same for any battery, home battery. It's not, you know, you're not going to power your entire home with the batteries, you know, like a Tesla wall or something like that. It's just going to be your critical loads.
Well, you can if you get enough Tesla walls, but, you know, one car is not going to be enough. That's all.
Hey,
that's all I'm saying.
One Bolt is 4 Tesla walls.
So
Yeah,
guys,
but
I
right.
have to tell you, we're just about to 6:30. So I'm going to see if I can connect up the GM guy right now. And let me go and I'll change my little screen here. And if I do, then I'll try and, Katrina, I'll get you to, maybe you can unshare the screen and I'll try and share this one. So sorry to break into this. Let's see if I can get the Chevy guy on.
All right, guys, got this technical voodoo going on.
Yeah, yeah. All right, it put us in a 1-minute hold here. And let me try this. Let me go back to Zoom. And let me see if I can share the screen. Okay, we're all waiting. I'm afraid, let's don't scare this poor GM guy when I tell him what's going on. So I've had a couple of test runs with the GM guys, and I always get a different guy each time I talk to him. So this will be interesting. And I'll tell you what I asked to look at is the, Chevrolet. In fact, they're working to have a 2022 Bolt EUV. It's basically a little bit longer Bolt, and it uses a different body. And it's a big update from the current bolts we have. So the 2022 EUV and the 2022 Bolt EV have, I'll let the Chevy guy talk about it, but they're supposed to come out sometime this summer. And I think we're about ready to go on here in a couple seconds. And then I'll have to make sure everyone can hear. Hi, Aaron. Can you hear me?
I have a really hard time hearing you. I can't quite hear you all the way.
Really?
Seems like
I had this last time. So
okay, I can hear you a little bit better.
Okay, I got the mic almost in my mouth here. So, hi, my name is Richard Bode, and I have got about 20 other EV aficionados here who really want to hear about the Bolt EUV.
Okay.
And so I've actually taken the tour before, but I said this is a great way for everybody to see it. So if you could give us your standard review of what this new Bolt has. And just before I start, can everybody else out there, can you hear okay? Katrina, can you hear?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, well, go ahead. It's Evan, right?
This is Aaron.
Aaron. Okay, thanks, Aaron. Go ahead.
All right, so this is the Bolt EUV. It's going to have a 65 plus kilowatt hour battery pack, similar to that in the Bolt EV that you see sitting next to it. This is the refreshed version of the vehicle that you see to the right. That is our current on sale today Bolt EV, the 2021. This is the 2022 with a 66 kilowatt hour battery. This Bolt EUV is a 65 plus kilowatt hour battery, sporting the same front wheel drive, single drive unit, 200 horsepower, 266 foot-pounds of torque, electric drive motor. You can see this vehicle does have more of an SUV-like profile. It's about 6 inches longer, and that added length gives you a little bit longer wheelbase, providing a little bit more stability on the road. A little bit longer wheelbases tend to do that. You also have increased legroom in the second row due to the elongation of the vehicle. So I'll open up the second row here and just kind of show you that. So there's a lot more space back here. And of course, you do have that flat floor because the battery design still does maintain that flat sheet along the bottom of the vehicle, also giving it a really nice low center of gravity, as most electric cars tend to have. And that's a really good character quality here, the new Bolt EUV. Moving to some of the exterior features and design elements, you can see we've kind of revised it. So it looks a little bit less like an EV in some regards, and more like just another SUV that Chevrolet may offer, which some folks might like. The trunk space is pretty adequate as well. You do also have the 60-40 split second row that does fold flat. I'll put down the 60% side for you, just to kind of show you some of the space back here. Quite a bit, whether the seats are up or down, and you do have your false bottom floor here, and we do have some soccer balls down here just to kind of give you an idea of how big that space really is. For watching on video, sometimes it's hard to quantify. Now, moving into some of the features that Bolt EUV has over the EV next to it, as you've probably read, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. The Bolt EV did lose some features. The Bolt EUV does gain some features, and that's because this vehicle is aimed a little bit more at kind of showcasing some of those premium features. One of which is, for the first time, we're offering a panoramic sunroof on an EV here at Chevrolet. We've never done that before. So we're offering that on Bolt EUV only. One of the other features we're offering is roof rails. Those have been removed from the Bolt EV and added to the EUV. So now you have the ability to, utilize these for storage. You could get one of our kind of toolie racks up here, bike rack, etc. Along with Bolt EV and EUV, they've been completely redesigned. I'm going to get in here and show you some of the interior updates. You can see the seats have been redesigned. We had some complaints and customer feedback about our seats in our previous gen Bolt EVs. So those have been redesigned and kind of repadded, as it were, to provide a little bit more comfort while you're driving your EV. We've also upgraded our MyLink system here in the center. So it's still that nice large touchscreen that you're used to in the 21 Bolt EV, but now instead of it having its own kind of standalone user interface, it's equipped with our newest MyLink 3 system, which now gives you access to wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. So what you do is you get in and pair your phone just like you would via Bluetooth, but now we're using that next generation Bluetooth technology that allows you to not only have Bluetooth connection, but also a wireless Android Auto or Apple CarPlay connection. Now, since we've upgraded or changed our MyLink system to a MyLink 3 system, you're probably wondering, okay, well, where did all my electric vehicle kind of dashboard information go? Well, it's right down here in your energy tab. So if you hit that button, it's going to take you to your energy usage menu. And it's going to give you all kinds of different breakdowns that you're used to and probably want to know if you are driving or looking into purchasing a Bolt EV or EUV. So this flow button you can hit, and you can have that up while you're driving, and that's going to give you a really good inclination of if you're draining power or if you're utilizing the regen feature that can be found on our steering wheel. This is our regen on demand pedal. If you're not familiar with regen, what that does is it kind of transfers the forward rolling momentum and kinetic energy back into battery charge whenever you activate this button, which as a byproduct gives you additional range. So you can do the regen on demand by hitting the paddle here and continue driving normal. And whenever you want to utilize that regen, you hit the paddle. Or you can put it in regen drive mode, which is the one pedal drive mode, which is this button here. And that's going to allow you to regen every time you lift your foot off of the brake pedal. And that information is going to be showcased here on the MyLink system in the center, showing you that kind kind of information, whether you're draining power from the battery or regenerating it. You're also going to see your details, kind of information since the last full charge, how much of the power is devoted to which categories, what sections of your vehicle are using the most power. In this case, because our vehicles are in demo mode, the driving and accessories, mostly the accessories here in our case in the studio, are the reasons for that category being so high. The impacts tab is really helpful. I'm not sure if you can see that orange on your screens. Hopefully, maybe if I adjust the angle
Yeah,
there.
we can see it. Good.
Okay, cool. So the technique is really just going to be how efficiently are you driving? In this case, this is kind of a mock-up version here. So this person drove with not such great technique, so they lost about 10.3 miles of range. The terrain also didn't help. Maybe they were kind of in the hills of Pennsylvania, perhaps. And they lost about 3.94 miles of range with that. Their climate settings also didn't help. Maybe they had the heated seat on maybe a little bit too long, or maybe they remote started the car, something like that. And that had them lose a little bit of range. And then the outside temperature was actually a good one, so they gained about a quarter mile of range back from the outside temperature. And that kind of tells you overall how many miles you may have gained or lost depending on these 4 categories as you drive. So this is kind of a real-time report card of how you're driving and the ways you can improve your mileage on your EV, from these kind of different factors. So the main 2 you can control are your technique and climate. And then the terrain, one way you can kind of mitigate that, because we can't really change terrain, is if you're in a hilly area, you may want to take advantage of your regen on demand anytime you kind of hit a downward slope, which may help you recover some of that mileage lost going up those steep inclines with your EV. Then you do have a lot of charging menus here. You can go into your different charging options. You can change what level you're charging, how many amps, etc. There's a lot of different ways to customize with that. And then this is just your history, kind of like your miles per gallon history in a combustion engine driven vehicle.
And as I understand that charge
Go ahead.
level too, instead of just saying 100% or 90, you can actually set, there's actually a sliding scale on the charge you're getting. Is that right?
Yeah, there is. You can adjust it up and down.
Okay.
If you'd like.
So for those of us who want to tinker with everything, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's highly customizable. It's very much what you make it. You can get really technical with it and set all kinds of different parameters for charging and make it totally your own and customize it, or you can just set it and forget it and let the car do its thing. It's totally up to you. There's a lot of different ways to maximize the efficiency with Bolt EV and Bolt EV.
Right.
The moving to the kind of interior again, I do just want to kind of give you a little bit of a kind of a sweeping kind of shot here to show you some of the ways this has been enhanced and changed. The main differences here are going to be pretty much the whole interior has been changed pretty dramatically. New steering wheel, entirely new interior, all new seating. You do have a new drive mode selector now. We used to have the electronic precision shift, but now we have our push button system here with pull for reverse and pull for drive. You still maintain an electronic parking brake, your sport mode, traction control buttons, and then lane keep assist on and off here. And then your wireless charge pad is now located here with additional ports located in back there with your SD card slot, USB-C on the left, USB-A on the right, and your 12-volt standard automotive style charger on the far right. Now, one cool thing with Bolt EUV is it is the first vehicle at Chevrolet to be equipped with Super Cruise. So you can see that here. Your Super Cruise button is located right down here on the steering wheel. Get a little closer for you guys to see that. So that's your Super Cruise button right there. And then if you look right above the steering wheel, you can see the infrared camera module that does sit just behind the steering wheel. And that is going to be our kind of hands-free like driving system. We have hundreds of thousands of miles of freeways mapped where Super Cruise works, and it's going to be nearly identical to the Cadillac system that we currently have on the Escalade. In part to one difference where the Escalade will change lanes for you if you signal. This vehicle will not, but otherwise everything else it will do. So as long as the road's mapped and your Super Cruise can be activated and you maintain eye contact on the road via the monitoring of the infrared camera, you'll get your green light bar, let you know that your Super Cruise is ready to be activated and you're ready to go. One other really unique feature that I'm personally a big fan of because I have a Camaro, and this feature is very helpful, especially in that vehicle with blind spots and visibility, is not only our 360-degree camera system that we have here with all kinds of different viewpoints, front, rear, you can zoom in from the top down, from the front down. You can look at left side, right side drivers and passenger tires, also the rear. You can see different backup lines if you like, totally up to you. But not only that is our rear view camera mirror. And you can see that right now it's just a standard mirror. But when you flip the normal lever that you would for at nighttime driving, it's actually going to activate your high resolution wide angle camera that's mounted right on the rear underneath the kind of rear airfoil on the liftgate. And this is going to improve your field of view by nearly 300%. You do have adjustments you can make here if you want it to be a little bit more dim. Maybe it's a little too bright for you. You can also zoom in if you want more of a zoomed in kind of approach. It's totally up to you. And you can adjust how high up or down the camera view is. So there's a lot of customization and adjustability with this system. And just to demo that for you really quickly, I'm going to set this up and go back behind the car very quickly here.
Get one of your coworkers.
And then I'll show you where that camera module is. So you should be able to see me on the camera back here. And yep, I'll show you where that is right here in the back. And that's also a Bolt EUV specific feature that won't be found on Bolt EUV. So your backup camera is here. That's your standard in reverse backing up camera. And then this is your wide angle rear view camera mirror. And you may be able to see the mirror in the video that way, but that's the camera right there. And anytime, you're probably wondering what this little square is right here. Anytime you activate your rear windshield washer fluid to clean the rear window, it's also going to spray washer fluid out of this nozzle to clean the lens. So that's a very, very useful feature. Along with that, you're going to get your rear parking sensors, you know, side blind zone alert, forward collision alert, rear cross traffic alert. Lots of safety features. There's a lot that goes into Bolt EUV, but hopefully I was able to cover some of those high points for you and kind of give you a decent overview of Bolt EUV.
Does the mirror the mirror replace the backup camera screen, or do they?
No, you have both. So that's why you have the two cameras. So you have one camera that is dedicated specifically to the rear view mirror camera, or the rear view camera mirror, that top camera, and then the bottom backup camera still pops up on the large infotainment display.
Would you tell us something about your dual voltage charger?
So it's able to do level 1 and level 2 charging. And the level 2 charging previously was a 7 kilowatt hour charger, but now it is able to charge at both 7 and 11 kilowatt hours, which gives you increased recharge time to about 6.5 hours from 0 to fully charged with a level 2 charger. And then the level 3 DC fast charge is still the same 100 miles for every 30 minutes of DC fast charge. And the kind of demo charger here, you can see this bottom module unplugs from the bottom. And this is your standard 3-prong household plug. And you can swap that out for this module and use that on a level 2 plug, like an electric dryer type of plug.
So that might save a lot of cost to somebody who's new to EVs and has a, like you said, electric dryer plug and doesn't want to get a whole new EVSC in their garage.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Well, the good part too is we're for a limited time, GM is actually going to be offering a program where they actually pay for the level 2 charger install at your home. Up to a certain dollar amount through our partner with Q Merit. We have a partnership with them, and that's actually going to allow us to provide new EV owners with that level 2 charger installation at their home. So that's a really big incentive that we're really running right now, just to help create a little bit more interest in an EV if it is your first time buying one.
The EUV this year.
Yeah, for the 22 model, so EV or EUV.
Okay. No, I don't know if I introduced myself. We're the Davis Electric Vehicle Association out in Davis, California. So,
Okay. Well, it's nice to meet all of you,
yeah,
albeit virtually.
Yeah, we can see you. You can't see us, unfortunately, but yeah.
That's correct.
So, Katrina, do you think, does anybody have a question they wanted to ask that didn't get asked?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Does it do video recording now while you drive?
So did you hear that? Say that again, Eugene. It was what?
Does
Video
it do
recording?
video recording while you drive, like in a Tesla?
I didn't hear anything. I apologize.
We wanted to know if it does video recording, like it has a camera in it that can do video recording. Yeah.
Dash cam? No, unfortunately, there's no dash cam capability. The only vehicles with any sort of camera in them are going to be our Camaro and Corvettes with the performance data recorders.
Any other questions?
Yes, Richard.
Yeah, go ahead. I have some more too.
Okay.
Richard, I do have a question. A couple. Does the charger that comes with the vehicle or that is offered to be in this incentive program, is that a wire in or is it a removable charger so that it's a portable so that you could take it with you, the level 2 charger?
Okay. Did you hear that, Aaron? Okay.
That's portable.
No,
so
I'm not able to hear any of them.
Charger, whether it was wired in or it's wired only, plug-in, and I believe it.
The level 2 charger,
right, Emilio? The level 2.
Yeah, the level 2 charger. It looks like it's
plug
in, but I just want to confirm.
is going to help cover the majority of the cost
he means
of,
the one that's the one you're pointing at right now that you plug in.
Oh, this is this charger is the one that comes with the car.
Right.
So this one comes with the car. It's got a very long charge line, and then this is just a whole module unit with the plug on the end, and then you plug it into either the level 1 charge receptacle, i.e., a 3-prong household plug, or the level 2 charge plug, which is that 220, 240 plug. So in essence, it's wireless, but I guess the better term would be it's portable.
Good. Any other questions?
Yes. Does it have I drive a 219 Bolt, and it doesn't have in the program a start charging at night, just the end charging, and I find that awfully annoying. Does it have a start charging now?
So Aaron, the question is, you know, you're able to set when you're able to set the charger. You can plug it in and say, I want it to be fully charged at like 7 a.m. So the question is, does it have the function where you can say, please start charging at like 12:05 a.m.? Do you know it does that?
Yeah, so what you can actually do with Bolt EUV is you can actually regulate what time it starts charging and the time that it finishes charging based on when energy costs are lowest in your area. So there's a lot of different charging customization options within the Bolt EUV infotainment menus that I kind of clicked through for you guys earlier. So to answer your question, yes, but it goes one step further. It's also not just about what time you want it to charge at, but also what time is best to charge at based on what's most cost effective.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, that does it. The Bolt does it already like that. But that's really annoying because sometimes charger charges faster or slower. And that doesn't help you if you cannot adjust the time it's supposed to start.
Okay. So I guess the feedback was he wants to know, one of the features is you can just go in and say, yeah, please start at 12:05. I don't care when it ends, just start at 12:05. Okay.
Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah. Delayed charge time. Yep, you can do that too.
I think Eugen, he confirmed you can do that. Okay. So that's different because I know my 2017 is like that at Bolt. You can only say, when's it going to end?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Can you ask him to lift up the hood, please, so we could look at under the
But
hood?
I mean, yes. You know, just to make sure that the point is, you know, heard, is really the good part about that is telling it what time to start charging based on which time is the most inexpensive, because energy costs fluctuate greatly depending on the time of day. So, you know, that's one of the main reasons why we have a feature like that in Bolt EUV. But it could also be used for many other reasons.
Hood for the engine?
I will, sure, but I do want to caveat that we do have a large module in here that is powering the vehicle for our demonstration modes. So keep that in mind. I'm gonna point it out to you guys as soon as I open the hood. So kind of try and delete that from your frame of reference while we look under here. So this module right here, that is our kind of demo module. So just keep that in mind. That is not a, that is not a normal thing that will be under the hood.
It's fairly similar to the Bolt EV.
Yep, because it's, the same drive unit and battery pack for the most part. 200 horsepower, 266 foot-pounds of torque. Not really a ton of interesting stuff up here, but it is the, kind of heart and soul of the car. Well, so, very little happening, just some minor fluids for, battery cooling. Basically kind of like a radiator type of fluid that, coolant keeps the battery cold.
Well, Aaron, I want to thank you for
temperature
your time.
regulated.
We got to move on here. But it was a great demo. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem, guys. It was great virtually meeting all of you guys. We hope that you enjoyed your walk around of the Bolt EUV today. If you do have any other questions, maybe after the event you guys are participating in, and you do want to check us out again here at Chevy MyWay, feel free to do so. We're open 7 days a week, and we'd be happy to talk to you again then.
Everybody else, it's easy to get online and book a tour on your own. Great. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys, take care and have a great day.
All right. Okay, well, it worked fairly well. He couldn't hear you guys' questions. I tested it, and it worked before last time I tried, but every time I log in, you get a little different reception. So why don't we move along quickly? Took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to go.
That was nice, Richard. Thank you for arranging that.
Oh, thanks, Jim. So Katrina, you want to put on I think we'll just go right to our next speaker, which is going to be Chris White, and she's from Frontier Energy. and she's so Chris, we'll let you connect up.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And about half the folks on the phone I already know and work with. And so it's good to see you in a little bit different frame here. And I'm going to talk to you tonight about SMUD. And I realize that many of you do not live in SMUD territory, but it's a great program. And I really hope that you can help us spread the word about this. You know, for a long time, we've all talked about why are the utilities disconnecting energy efficiency from electric vehicles? Isn't there a way you could just do one program and do them both? And SMUD is piloting that now with their multifamily program. And so this is something specific for properties that have 5 or more units in the SMUD territory, and as many more as 5 as you want. But the way the program works is it is one application form. That application form helps you choose, the property owner choose to move from gas appliances to electric appliances with a rebate. And then there's quite a bit of funding for doing panel upgrades and doing some of the make-ready work. What's awesome about it for EV is that you also get the money for, if you're also doing an electric vehicle installation, you get the money from either SMUD's program or from CalEVIP. And if you're not aware, SMUD has just increased the per port rebate on their own program. So now it was $1,500 per handle. Now it's $4,500. They use handle instead of port. Now it's $4,500 per port. And that also applies to dumb chargers. So it really helps with the cost in it. But their program includes $1,000 toward the panel upgrade. If the apartment owner or manager is also doing the electrification upgrades, they can combine those two. So it really does, for many properties, come up with being free chargers that they can put in. It is a complicated thing to explain to an apartment manager. We're already talking to them about heat pump water heaters and heat pump dryers and other things that they don't quite get. And then we come in and say, and you can put in car chargers. So it's just one more tool that we have of helping to increase multifamily properties in offering charging stations. So I really encourage you, it's the website is SMUD Multifamily, smud.com/multifamily. So very easy, smud.org, I'm sorry, /multifamily. Easy to come to. The program flyer about it just went live today, so it was great timing. In fact, I got it about 40 minutes before this meeting started. And it's a very simple process for an interested property owner to just say, I'm interested, talk to me about it. We'll come out, we'll do a free assessment of their property. We'll give them an idea of how much it's going to cost and how much they're going to get in the rebates as well. So that's my whole spiel. Wish PG&E did something like this. I live in PG&E land.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was short there. I forgot I muted myself when you're talking there. Great. Well, thanks, Chris. And so we get a lot of SAC EV people, viewing our meetings. So I think that's going to be really helpful to them. And I sure wish, those of us who live in Davis had passed that plan about 20 years ago that would have gotten SMUD to cover us. It would have been great. Yeah. So, okay. Anybody have any quick questions before we move along? And if not, thank you very much, Chris.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Next, we're going to ask Ed, are you on the line? I didn't check my participants to see if Ed was there. Let's see. Oh, we might miss out on Ed. I don't see him as one of our on our participant list though. So why don't we move along and see if Ed will join us? Guy, do you know did you hear anything from Ed about joining us? I did send him the link.
I'm going to try reaching out to him and see.
Okay, maybe I'll ask Lloyd Levine to step up and move in next. So Lloyd, I did see you online, and so we've got Lloyd Levine is a former state assembly member for California, and currently he's the national senior executive for state government strategy with T-Mobile, and he's also a senior policy fellow at UC Riverside's public policy school. And he also told me he's a strategic advisor for SAC EV. So it's good. He's keeping an eye on Guy here. So with that, Lloyd, why don't you step up to the mic, make your video.
Can everybody see and hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So thank you for the introduction. Glad to be here. Been an EV enthusiast for many years. Just by way of credibility, for so those of you who don't know me, I have been in addition to member of the legislature, I've been in politics most of my life. When I left the legislature, I ran a government affairs consulting company focused mainly on technology, energy, environmental issues, etc. And so. Also relevant to tonight, my wife is Edie Lambert, KCRA anchorwoman. And so I actually discussed this with her as well to kind of get her thoughts, because we actually kind of do some of the same things from opposite sides. I try and, kind of come at it from the front of the camera. She's behind the, well, she's technically in front of the camera, but for the news people instead of the client side. So my best advice on the ad, and I've seen it once, is just leave it alone. Just ignore it. It'll go away. It's not going to have any effect. Don't throw gasoline on a fire. Don't give it any air whatsoever. The station is, as I've understood, from in different circumstances, the station's not going to pull the ad. There's nothing obscene, offensive, any reason. It might be personally offensive to us because it's, stupid, it's slightly racist, but it's not, there's no nudity, there's no obscenity, there's no foul language in it. It's just a dumb ad that will have no effect. If you read the headlines, and you have to get over, if you do this long enough, you just have to have a thick skin. You're gonna get, you're gonna see things you don't like, but in this case, let them waste their money on it. There's nothing we can do about it. And all we're going to do if we try and do something about it is make the station think it's controversial. And then you're going to start hearing news stories about controversy surrounding EVs. And the last thing we want is headlines and news stories saying controversy surrounding EVs. And so let it go. People are going to ignore it. And then it's overwhelmed by the positive news that's out there every day. The new car releases. Now the pace is, almost on a daily basis. They're not just announcing that 3 years from now, we're gonna have this. They're announcing sale dates for Ford, for Chevy, for Hyundai, et cetera. And so my best advice, and I'm happy to answer questions, but my best advice is, yeah, it's stupid. Yeah, it's wrong. Yes, it's slightly racist. And the last thing we want to do is call attention to it by talking about it.
Thanks, Lloyd. For those who actually, I don't know if everyone's seen this ad. It's put on by the Western States Petroleum Association, WSPA, and it is so vague and dark that I actually watched it about 4 or 5 times before I caught on. I think it lasts maybe 25 seconds, 30 seconds, and you don't really catch on to the very end because they start talking about EV drivers, even and rates will go, your power rates will go up. So I think it's kind of good advice that we don't go out there and oh good, this is that's the ad there. There's an African American woman looking at it, sitting at a bus stop, and
because only African American people are poor and take buses.
Yeah, that's right. So
and as I pointed out to somebody the other day who was complaining to me about this, well, I live in an apartment. I said, oh, do you have a gas station at your apartment complex? That's pretty interesting. And so I didn't know they were allowed to have gas stations there. It's so I kind of, then kindly pointed out that there's charging stations, increasing numbers everywhere, and that charge times and range are extending. You don't go to the gas station every day. So, yeah, it might be slightly longer to get from 0 to 80% charge in a car than it is in a gas powered car. But there's a lot of differences between in lifestyles, and it works just as easily. And so by the time the state mandate kicks in 2030, I can't guarantee that charge times will be as fast. But I see the trend. And I think something like Moore's law applies to battery. Densities increasing, recharge times are decreasing. And already I know some, and I can't keep track anymore. I used to know this in my head because there were so few options out there, but I can't keep track anymore of all the various charge times. But you're talking about anywhere from 70 to 90% recharge, and anything from like 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending upon the manufacturer. So if you plan your day right, okay, charge while you're doing something else. It's not that big a deal. So I just can't say strongly enough. Just ignore it. There's nothing the station can do about it anyway. Literally, there is zero. They're under no requirements to pull that ad as long as it meets FCC standards. They don't have to pull it. There's nothing that we can do about it. So grin and bear it, and this too shall pass. And as I said, it's the last gasp of a dying industry. They're not quite gone the way of the buggy whip manufacturers that were so famous in Danny DeVito's speech at the end of Other People's Money, for those of you who saw that. But they're getting there quickly. The percentage of EV adoption is through the roof. The federal government is looking, at subsidy plans. The state is looking at new plans to foster EV adoption. And most importantly, the manufacturers have stopped, for the most part, dragging their feet. They're not paying lip service to this anymore. I had a consulting contract briefly with Hyundai, and so I knew what some of this is a few years ago, and their plans that we talked about are coming to fruition. I mean, you're just seeing model after model, and manufacturer after manufacturer, and state after state. So a few desperate ads by WISPA, and potentially ads by WISPA to keep their membership happy, isn't going to do one thing to slow down the progress of electric vehicles.
Well, thanks, Lloyd. I think that's good advice. Well, I like that idea of don't pour gasoline on a fire that doesn't exist. Yeah.
Right. No.
Okay.
Happy to do that, and and just as a personal thing, I love seeing the progress we're making. It's so exciting compared to where we were a number of years ago, where you had so few models, and now you have. One of the things that I always said was the biggest linchpin in electric vehicles was not the charging, but the model diversity. And now that you're getting model diversity and prices dropping, adoption is going to increase dramatically.
Right. Could I ask a question of Mr. Levine?
Go ahead.
My question relates more to the TV stations that are carrying the ads, and that is. As you say, it is racist and is misleading. So in the future, will we have some question about the morality or the efficacy of the radio and the TV stations carrying ads that are essentially lies?
Yeah, there is no real truth. I mean, it's not an outright lie, and there's no truth in advertising. I mean, it's misleading, certainly, but it's not the only ad on TV that's misleading. If it were, then we wouldn't have the Hair Club for Men, and numerous other ones that are out there. I mean, it's not overtly racist. It doesn't use the N-word. It just uses a relatively poor stereotype of people riding the bus must be African Americans. There's really, I mean, it's got to be a far worse than this for anything to be able to be done by anybody. So I mean, in the future, I don't think there is going to be a future on this. I wouldn't expect to see another set of ads 2 or 3 years from now. And I got to say, I mean, even now, they're not exactly blitzing the airwaves with this thing. It's out there, but it's not like I see ads for T-Mobile far more often than I see ads for this, just to pick another ad that I would potentially notice. I don't notice the background ads that I don't really care about, but the ones that I care about, like this.
I'm sorry, what was that, Chris?
Chris didn't say anything that we could hear.
Are you rejoining?
He's trying to connect up with Chris. Is on there. Chris's light's on there. Yeah. Go ahead, Lloyd.
So that's it. I mean, you know, it's infuriating, but no, there's not really much we can do about it. And it's nowhere near the lines that need to be crossed for the stations to be even any remote, you know, near obligation to remove it.
Great. Okay. Any other questions? Then we'll put Lloyd on our speed dial now. For,
happy to. Guys got my number. You know, and don't be shy to use it. You know, even though I'm working for T-Mobile, I'm still a passionate EV enthusiast and happy to lend my name, credibility, and expertise to the topic. You know, in government, you know, whatever. So, but at this moment, I'm going to go get dinner since I walked straight in the door from work to come join you guys. I'm going to go get dinner and enjoy.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, we've got some time left. And so two things we had in reserve here to make sure if we had enough time was both Chris White and Jim Wilson talk a little bit about fuel cells. And so Chris, if you want to go first, I think Jim would actually talk to you about maybe some of your experiences with fuel cells and what's coming up.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, and don't know Frontier Energy is the operator of the California Fuel Cell Partnership. So I got involved with alternative fuel vehicles more than 16 years ago when I became the communications director at the Fuel Cell Partnership. It is a little tiny bit of what I do now. Most of my time I spend working with governments from statewide to little teeny tiny, and now even with private businesses and helping them figure out the best way to move to something that's not gasoline. And therefore, I support everything. I support you ditching your car and riding your bike. If a car ran on orange juice, I would support that as well. And I really do believe that it's going to, personally, not speaking from the company, it is going to take everything to move us forward, because we would be a really foolish nation to move from all of our cars running on one thing to all of our cars running on any one other thing. And I think as we talk about electrification of buildings and moving so many of our appliances over from natural gas into electricity, we're just increasing more dependence upon one source of power. So I am for everything that is not polluting. And my choice is to drive a fuel cell vehicle. I'm on my second one now. I have a Honda Clarity. I had the first Honda Clarity in Northern California. And when my lease was up, I instantly moved into a second one. I can drive everywhere I need to go in California. Right now, I fill up about once every 3 weeks or so at the station in West Sacramento. I have, in the 4 years that I've been driving fuel cell cars, I've only had one time that I couldn't get fuel. So I think that's really lucky. My grandchildren live in Lake Tahoe. I have no problem going to visit them. And you guys talked earlier about the whole, how do you plug your car into your house? My car already does that. And I can run the whole house from it. It has a plug in the trunk. So it acts like a generator, and it can, I haven't tried it yet, but supposedly you can run your entire house for 11 days if you have a full tank of fuel. So, you know, that's it. I have also driven a Chevy Bolt. I drove one across the country. My son drives an electric car. I'm for all of them.
All right. So next blackout we have, it's party at Chris's house. Remember that. So.
Maybe, you know, I haven't had a blackout either. So I live in West Sac, and I have an all electric home, which is finally cool again. When I moved here, everybody went, "Really? You don't have gas?" Now I got the cool house.
Great, thanks. Jim, did you want to add to your experiences with the fuel cells? Are you on there, Jim?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, we can now. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good. Question is, can you hear me?
Let me grab the screen just for a second here. Yeah, thank you, Chris. Great information. I wanted to share some pictures that I took the other day, if you don't mind. Let me see if I can find them here. Let's see, stand by.
I think, Peter, do you have your hand up for this? Or did you want to say something while Jim's loading?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so what I was actually going to say is I agree with what Chris said as far as, supporting different sources. And the reason I say that is because electricity is not the source. Electricity, the source is sun, wind, water, biomass, geothermal. So there are already many multiple sources of electricity. So you're not beholden to one particular source. And I would also point out that in the future, maybe not now, because some of the hydrogen is gray, but your hydrogen, the source of your hydrogen is actually electricity. So, electricity to me is the best, but I don't, I don't begrudge anyone using hydrogen if they want to.
So Peter, let me be clear. I didn't mean one source of electricity. I mean, it is one distribution network. We only have one way to distribute electricity right now, and that's through a wire. And so really we're lucky if you think about electrification of buildings. Currently, we get our energy, those people who drive on gas cars, energy comes in a tanker truck, energy comes through a natural gas pipeline, energy comes through wires. And it is that distribution network. And the more that we put all of our eggs on one basket, the more that we run into a problem of being too dependent on any one thing. So the way that you become diverse and resilient and responsive is to not be dependent upon one thing. And so that's my main thrust. Everything needs to be renewable, whether you are turning, letting something compost like landfill gas and using it to make a fuel, or whether you are using it from sun, solar, wind, geothermal, all of the other cool things that we have. I think they're all really important. We just need diversity in how that energy is delivered.
Right. But again, it's not going to do you any good if you have an electric range and the electricity goes out. You can't run it with gas. And if you have a gas range, you can't cook your food with electricity if you don't have electric. So, so I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that we're going to have to agree to disagree.
I think you make just the point right there, Peter, is that the folks who are living in electric houses like I do, when your power goes out, you can't cook. If you have a gas range, you can at least heat water and cook food for your family, but not in my house.
Well,
I mean, that's the reason you have battery backup.
Let's look at Texas. I mean, their natural gas didn't do them any good either because it froze up. So, I mean, the arguments are not quite correct here. And the other thing is, I don't think you can power your whole house out of your fuel cell car, your air conditioning, and your range and everything at the same time.
Okay.
Can I make some comments? This
is
Jim.
Go ahead, Jim.
So yeah, I just had some feedback, and I appreciate what Chris is saying. And yeah, we need to be open-minded on this. But I have come to the conclusion that BEVs are the way to go. And I just wanted to, I'm going to show you some pictures here in a second, but I wanted to comment on a couple of things. One of the great things that I love about my BEV is the small number of parts that can go wrong. And I strongly feel that fuel cells are adding great complexity to the car in general. They say that BEVs have 2,000 less parts than internal combustion cars. And I'm guessing fuel cells probably have at least 1,000 parts that could potentially go wrong. So I want to, make that point. I think that's important. The other thing is, what is the source of natural gas, hydrogen? I've always heard from the people I've talked to that it is natural gas because right now that's the cheapest energy you can buy. And I have a problem with that because with battery electric vehicles, the owner has control over the mix of energy that the energy comes from. You know, if you want to take it all off of your solar panels off your house, you can potentially do that. If you want to take it off of Valley Clean Energy, which has a nice renewables mix, you can take it off of that.
Whoop, I think you froze.
Yeah, I think we might have lost Jim.
We lost Jim there. Yeah.
Oh, good. I thought it was me.
No. Oh, Jim,
think
Usually it is me, but yeah, this time it's not.
Yeah, no, it's Jim. So I only thing I'd say here is it's hard to predict the future because we don't know what kind of fuel cell technology is going to go ahead. And it seems like it's probably going to be a combination of a lot of stuff. But I do know the sooner we get rid of the fossil fuels, the better, like tomorrow. And for me, battery electrics have worked well, but, you know, if fuel cells work in that, hey, you know, the more the merrier, as long as they're clean and they're zero carbon emissions. So
I'd
You know,
like to make a
a
comment.
group such as ours is always so focused on EVs and such. And it may be that hydrogen fuel cells really aren't the right answer for light duty vehicles, but there are some other transportation areas that are very difficult for battery solutions. I mean, long distance trucking, long distance airplanes, shipping, and those are solutions that might have a very strong, fuel cells might be a very strong candidate for them, but you got to make sure that you find fuels that match the transportation segment that you're in.
So I will mention we are getting one of the very first fuel cell locomotives in West Sacramento soon. It'll be a shipping train that will be used over by the Port of Sacramento, operated by Sierra Railroad. So it's, you know, it's pretty cool. And I am excited about the opportunity that we have. We are at a new point in transportation where we're jumping off. And we're going to see lots of things change in the future, even when we heard from the guy from Chevy about some of the auto drive features. I think it's really exciting. It's kind of like maybe what our great grandparents experienced as the first cars started hitting the road. And way back at that time, my great grandfather operated one of the very first gas stations. And he used to go out to people's cars with a barrel that was on a dolly and put gasoline in their tanks with a dipper, and that gas tank was underneath the front seat of the car. So,
wow,
you know, you think about where that was, and that was not that long ago. It's really kind of incredible to figure out where we are going to be able to go, and to look at every piece of technology that's out there today, from the size of a car charger, a level 3 charger, to that tanker that Jim was showing delivering hydrogen, and know that this is the beginning of it, not the end of it. And it's going to be so different even 10 years from now.
Chris, do you know if there's any opportunity for us to visit that fuel or hydrogen driven transportation, the train, the engine?
Well, it just got awarded. So the minute that we get the money and work with our partners to get the train built, you bet. In fact, you're going to see it running up and down Industrial Boulevard every time you drive over to the big post office. So
maybe we might set up a special tour, kind of look at it. And,
it'll be a little bit, but we'll definitely do that. So
that'd be great.
guys, I'm going to run. I just want to thank you for having me. And it is because I've known Guy for a long time, and I've always appreciated the fact that I get paid to be an advocate for alternative fuels, and you all do it from your own free will and your own love and your own passion. And I really appreciate you letting me be part of your meeting this evening. So
Chris, could I ask you one question? Can you use the natural gas pipelines to transmit hydrogen? Does that work, or are there problems with that?
Right now you can blend, and that's one way that the folks are looking at making the electric grid even cleaner, is by blending both renewable natural gas and hydrogen into the natural gas pipeline that goes into a power plant. There's quite a bit of work going on in that in Minnesota and some of the other states that are not quite as solar as California, because we are a unique little state here when it comes to renewable energy. So, and in Europe, they're doing a big study right now to see if they can move hydrogen around through their natural gas pipeline.
Okay.
In different blends from 10% to 100%.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard that there's actually after about 20%, you might get embrittlement in the steel. So you have to be careful.
Yeah, the molecule is really, really teeny tiny, and it has to be in a piece of metal that's made for that tiny of a molecule. And natural gas is a big old clunky, lazy, fat molecule, and it doesn't need such a tight little pipe. So you got to build your container for the thing that it's trying to contain.
Okay. Well, more to hear on this in the future. Great. Thanks, Chris.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Jim, did you ever come? Jim Wilson, did you ever get back? Oh, Jim, you're back.
Yeah. Or at least he's connecting in.
Yeah. So, Jim, if you want to add something.
Oh, I'm really sorry. My internet dropped. So I think I'd like to maybe present next meeting, so I don't keep everybody too long.
Sure, we can do that. You surprised me, though. I actually thought you were going to say fuel cells full speed ahead and BEVs get off the road, but you're always surprised. Why don't we do that? We'll hold it for next time.
On this thing, I mean, what basically happened is, and I agree with Guy, that there are certain areas where fuel cells are fine if they're stationary and things like that. But fuel cells were solely responsible for the delay of the BEV for about 10 years. For 10 years. So I don't have any patience anymore for people coming on and saying fuel cell cars are the thing to do. They are not. I can put solar panels on my house and run my car. I cannot put a fuel cell in my backyard, and what am I going to power it with? And we had a professor from UC Davis telling us that it takes 3 times more energy. So why do we, go this thing? I mean, it's just, I'm sorry. I've heard it too many times and it's just too much.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Oregon, when you look at the big picture and complete carbonization of the whole society, you're going to have excess capacity at a lot of times. And so then you can use that capacity to generate hydrogen and use the hydrogen for certain things. But I agree with you 100% that light duty vehicles is not the end use you want to use it in.
The market with respect to light duty vehicles, the market is effectively spoken. I mean, if you look at this, just looking at the chargers now going around the country, in just our region alone. This is just the Sacramento region.
Yeah.
You can
Well,
see
yeah, and I just want to give you a quick.
You know what?
Sorry.
If I could just say, I'm totally in favor of using hydrogen for trans-Pacific boats. I understand that's a very good application for it, and so I will defend that. I understand that hydrogen does have higher energy density than batteries, I believe. I'm not sure about that. But still, you cannot control where that energy comes from, and it's also very consolidated. It's running your energy through the hands of a few people who own big companies, and if that's what you want to, that's what you're doing now when you buy gasoline. So I just don't think it's the way to go. So that's it for me.
Yeah, and this is just, if I can say one last thing, I just want to relay a quick story. My wife recently bought a new BEV, and while we were looking at cars, we went to the Toyota dealer to test drive the RAV Prime, and that's a nice car, but she didn't like it. So, the dealer was saying, well, how about a Mirai? And I go, well, that's like $60,000. He goes, oh no, we're giving you $20,000 off and free fuel for 3 years, or something. So it's like, basically you get in the car for $30,000. And I'm like, no, I still don't want it. And so, as others have said, the market has spoken, because, they're discounting the car like over 50%, and still people aren't buying the darn things.
Maybe light duty, hydrogen for light duty may not be the accepted.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. I
Accepted
mean,
model,
especially
but
in
we'll see.
Sacramento right now, there's only 3 fueling stations that I know of. So,
Which is far better than most locales.
Yeah. True.
Well, so now our plan is to get other people with their butts in EV seats now, and that's what
right.
I'd like to see is get everybody.
Hey, we're
out
going to start being able to have in-person events again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hoorah.
I mean, my driving experience has changed, over the last 8 years I've had an EV. I mean, prices go up and I just kind of like go, oh, I used to worry about it. Now I'm back, what are gas prices today?
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked. My wife told me it was over $4 a gallon. I go, what? But I haven't even looked in like 3 years. I don't care. Yeah. I agree.
Okay.
As we reduce the demand for gasoline, I think the prices will hold or drop down. Less demand, lower prices.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Well, maybe, but remember, California has a specific fuel mix, and so if demand goes down too far, refineries will shut down, supply will go down, and then the price might go back up again. So you never know.
Good point.
Yeah. Well, we've used up all our agenda items. So anyone else has questions? And I don't know if we have any new to EVs people out there. I think we would have gotten.
Yeah. Do we have any first-time member people in the meeting? Anybody? It's their first time in a DEVA meeting.
And if you've got ideas of things you'd like to see in the next DEVA meeting, or even SAC EV meeting, but let's do the DEVA meeting. Go ahead and use that DEVA@cooldavis.com or .org. Sorry, cooldavis.org. Go ahead and send us a note. But we've got a couple of things we're going to follow up on in the future. The city of Davis has got a climate action and adaptation plan they're putting together. So we'd like to get somebody from the city to talk about that, because transportation is going to be a big part of that. I think the biggest part of that write-off is how they put their emissions inventory together. So I think maybe by our next meeting, hopefully we'll have somebody at the city talk about that. That's one thing. And then there's charging infrastructure in Davis. And that, I don't know where it stands right now. I think it's been put on hold for right now. In fact, Chris White is a consultant to that project, and I think it's just on hold at this second. Unless, Katrina, you got a better idea than I do about what's going on, or Jim does. But we're really interested.
I know about as much as you do, Richard, about that infrastructure in Davis. I'm excited to see it, but alas, this is all I know.
Yeah. So we'll all want to weigh in on that one as well, too. So.
Well, I too want to see finally the money getting used.
Yeah.
The Green Region grant's been sitting out there, and what's happening?
Yeah, I don't know. My understanding from talking to Jim too is it's just on hold right now. Jim, do you have any better idea?
I'm afraid to start talking or my internet will drop. What were we asking? What specifically are you asking about?
About the charging infrastructure in Davis, the plan, and Chris White's work with the city of Davis. It's
my understanding, and this is, I don't know, but my understanding is that they have selected a consultant, and I think I know who it is, but I don't know if I'm at liberty to say. That's all I know right now.
Okay.
A consultant
I
for
don't want to
what?
pass along bad information, but I think I know who it is.
Jim, a consultant for what?
To manage the commissioning of the new chargers. Are you talking about the SACOG grant for the new chargers?
No, the Green Region. Yeah, that's.
Sorry, my mistake. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking of the SACOG.
Sorry, don't know about that.
I was thinking about SACOG as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's the end of our show. Thank you all for coming. And like I said, send us ideas if you want to hear more. I'd like to see if we get some more tours. If you like the tour, I thought it was kind of, when I first saw it, I thought it was a great way to get a look at it, because none of those Bolt EUVs are going to be out there for at least another month or two, and they're going to be few and far between for Davis. I actually checked with the dealer, and they said checks back with us in December. So I think going to the Bay Area is the only chance we have to see some of that. But it'd be nice to see some of these other cars too up in person. And we've had the Mustang EV already, so we'll keep our eyes out for our next meeting, trying to get another car.
Yeah,
So,
Richard, if this is Peter, I got, like I said, I got this new Volvo. Well, my wife did, but we could do that one if you want. It would have to be a homemade tour with a cell phone, but or if we're doing in person, I can bring the car. So
yeah,
just let me know.
What's the model of that? The model?
It's a Volvo XC40 Recharge.
Yeah.
So it's a small SUV, but it's all electric.
Yeah. Okay. I've read a little bit about that. Sounds good. Okay. We'll talk to you about that. Thanks, Peter.
Sure.
Okay. That's it for us. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Happy Wednesday. Whatever day of the week we're on, I don't know.
It's Wednesday.
Rad. It's Wednesday.